Hello learners, I welcome you all to the fourth segment of 34th lecture. As you all know, we've been discussing Marian Ungalev and Reinhard Ungalev versus Costa Rica case. And in this segment, we'll be discussing about one of the violations claimed by the claimants. That is that there was a violation of fair and equitable treatment clause of Costa Rica, Germany, BIT. If we look at Article 2.1 of Costa Rica, Germany, BIT, that stated that fair and equitable treatment has to be afforded to investors from other contracting party. So, on what ground did the claimant make a claim of fair and equitable treatment? The claimants made an allegation of fair and equitable treatment by Costa Rica for the following grounds. 1. Costa Rica has failed to provide the Ungalevs with a transparent, consistent and predictable legal and business environment and frustrated their legitimate expectation that arose out of national park law. And secondly, they also stated that Costa Rica had prevented the development of the properties without basis in law and in violation of claimants' reasonable expectation that only lawful restrictions on development would be applied. And they also claimed that Costa Rica failed to provide claimants with an effective legal remedy against the government's unlawful conduct and the delays of its courts. They also claimed that there was a denial of justice in failing to make available to claimants the protections of a formal and duly regulated expropriation process. And finally, the claimant stated that Costa Rica has frustrated their legitimate expectation based on agreements that they have entered into with the state. Basically, the claimants wanted the tribunal to look at all these grounds holistically and then make a decision that there was violation of fair and equitable treatment. So, the tribunal first underscored or looked at how it will decide the scope of FET clause, and it referred to many decided cases, Saluka, LGNE, Azurix, many other cases, and then stated that even when a state takes some measures for public purpose, there are chances for violating fair and equitable treatment if it acts in an arbitrary or a discriminatory way. So, first it sort of ascertained that there could be violation of fair and equitable treatment even when state takes a measure for public purpose. Then it went on to see whether in this particular case has that been violated. So, here what the claimants were claiming were that there were treatments that they were meted out with that had actually was that was not in consonance with the fair and equitable treatment that was provided under the BIT. So, there were three stances where the tribunal looked at. One, it looked at whether there has been a arbitrary or a discriminatory treatment that has been meted out to the claimant. Then the tribunal also looked at whether there has been a denial of justice. Then the tribunal has been also looked at whether there was legitimate expectation that was breached. With regard to the legitimate expectations, the claimant was not in a position to prove that they had assurances from Costa Rica that approval for phase 2 property would be given. That they could not prove. And also they could not prove that the 75-meter strip was not within the park boundaries. So, anyway the tribunal had ruled that 75-meter strip was within the park boundary. So, they did not prove that it was not within the park boundary, and they could also not prove that Costa Rica had given assurances that it will approve and give permits for phase 2 property. So, on that the tribunal stated that for a violation of fair and equitable treatment on the ground of legitimate expectation, there has to be assurances from the state, unambiguous and specific assurances, and then the claimant should show that they had relied on these assurances. So, here in this case the tribunal held that they were not able to show that there were such assurances. So, therefore, the tribunal did not agree that their legitimate expectations were breached. And secondly, with regard to denial of justice also, and the claimants were arguing there were many delays with regard to administrative decisions and the delay in court proceedings and all of that. That is what characterized by the claimant as denial of justice as a tenet of fair and equitable treatment. For that also, the tribunal stated that denial of justice can be claimed as a tenant for breach of fair and equitable clause, provided you are telling the tribunal that there was no available remedy for getting certain things remedied within the domestic framework, right? A mere negative outcome by the courts or administrative tribunals is not something that would attract the denial of benefit, denial of justice tenant of fair and equitable treatment clause. This is what first the tribunal had clarified. Then the tribunal went ahead and stated that there were many court cases and all of that had happened, but in fact some of the courts had actually decided in favor of the claimants. Then they found that there were one problematic decision with regard to the Supreme Court decision, the park buffer and all of that, but even then that was immediately rectified in October 2009. So there is nothing within the domestic framework that they have shown that sort of points out to the fact that there was denial of justice. So mere negative outcome does not amount to denial of justice, and even whatever administrative proceedings or court decision that had happened, some of them were in favor of the claimant, and some of them, even if it was initially adverse, eventually it was rectified. By October 2009, even the one decision that the tribunal found to be problematic was also rectified. So for this reason, the tribunal concluded that there is no denial of justice. So therefore, for that context, we cannot hold that there is a breach of fair and equitable treatment. And coming back to the arbitrary and non-discriminatory process and all of that, then the tribunal here stated that on the facts of the case, the tribunal agreed there were some noticeable differences in the way in which Costa Rican authorities worked. From one office to other office, there was some noticeable difference. But for that to be considered as a violation of fair and equitable treatment, it has to be very arbitrary, it has to be improper, it has to be to that level that shocks the very conscience itself. So all of these must be present, only then we can hold it to be violative of FET clause. But the tribunal stated that even when there were noticeable differences with regard to the way in which different departments of Costa Rica operated, it only the boundary was approached, but technically it was not surpassed. So that's how the tribunal held that there was no violation of FET clause as well, because the way in which the Costa Rican offices and departments and ministries and all of them have operated, that did not amount to something that would give rise to a violation of FET clause. So it was not so arbitrary and all of that. Even the tribunal also agreed that at some places there were issues with regard to which these offices operated, but it definitely did not give rise to that level where the tribunal could hold that there was a violation of FET clause. So this is how the tribunal decided the FET claim of the claimant, and subsequently the tribunal went ahead and decided with regard to non-impairment clause as well as full protection and security clause. So that is something we will see in the next segment. Thank you.